All right, it looks like we are ready to go. Good morning, everybody. I am going to convene today's Wednesday, March 31st meeting of the Environment Committee. We are going to immediately go into recess for just a few minutes, but please don't go far. I know everybody is swamped with meetings today, but if you can stand by, we should reconvene very shortly. Thanks so much. We'll be reconvening in 5 minutes. right, good morning, everybody. We are going to reconvene today's Environment Committee meeting. Welcome. Just wait one moment till I see there's my co-chair. Make sure we have our ranking member with us. All right, good morning, everybody. We are reconvening the meeting officially. Thank you all for joining and thank you for your patience this morning. As I said at the start of the meeting, I know there are multiple committee meetings going on right now. Many of us up against our JF deadline, so it is a busy day. So with that being said, let's get started. I do want to, I believe we have a birthday on the committee. I saw on social media this morning, so happy birthday, Representative O'Day. And if my co-chair has any comments or I see him waving, birthday boy. Does my co-chair, Representative Gresko, have any comments to get us started this morning?
Good morning, Madam Chair. No comments. Good to go. Thank you.
All right, terrific. And I know Senator Minor was unable to join us. He hopefully will join us later. But Representative Harding, do you have any comments?
No, thank you, Madam Chair. Nothing but good morning. Happy birthday to Representative O'Day, as you said, and look forward to a good discussion today.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. So first bill on our agenda under Roman numeral number 3, bills for review, is SB number 884, an act reducing transportation related carbon emissions. It is a JFS to the floor. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Representative Gresko, seconded by Representative Pong. So this bill is a governor's bill that we heard at public hearing. It requires the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection to adopt implementing regulations for the Transportation and Climate Initiative program. They must adopt regulations that establish a declining cap on greenhouse gas emissions, and auction, reserve, and set aside emissions allowances. Those allowances, allowance proceeds sold at auction will be deposited into a special account within the Special Transportation Fund. It is restricted, not available for general use, known as affectionately as our transportation lockbox. And it requires that a certain percentage, at least 50%, be invested into communities that are overburdened by air pollution or underserved by transportation system, and those communities determined as written in the bill by the Department of Transportation and DEEP. It also establishes an Equity and Environmental Justice Advisory Board to advise both DEEP and the Department of Transportation on decision making when it comes to equitable outcomes for the program, and facilitate input on overburdened and underserved communities as set forth in the language of the bill. Is there any discussion? I see Ranking Member Representative Harding has a question or comment.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you, for laying out what this bill is going to do. One question I have through you, Madam Chair, is in terms of what this ultimately is going to mean for the consumers who are going to be pumping their gas. Is there any? I know that the DEEP has done some studies and has provided some information in terms of what this will cost the consumer. Is there any particular cap that's going to be in place from this legislation? Through you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Harding, for the question, and it's a very important one. Yes, the bill does contain a cost containment reserve. The first auction will be held in 2023, so it's important to recognize that there would not be any impact from TCI on gas pricing until that time. Initial projections for the year 2023 are at 5 cents. But there is, as I said, a cost containment reserve, and there will be allowances held back to provide for that containment in fluctuating price.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And if I may, through you again, Madam Chair. So I understand that that's projection that is 5 cents. But is there a certain cap that it can't exceed a certain amount through you, Madam Chair?
Yes, thank you, Representative Harding. That cap is 9 cents.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So it could go as high as 9 cents just in the first year. Is that correct? For you?
That's correct, Representative Harding. But I will say that the department will be watching this closely and will have a holdback of allowances for auction to prevent the price fluctuation to be too great for the end user.
And through you, Madam Chair, if I may, that 9 cents is just attributed to the first year. So what are the caps in subsequent years, if I may, through you, Madam Chair?
Thank you, Representative. And if you just give me a second to pull that up, I can do that. My computer has determined that now is the appropriate time to lock up on me. So I apologize for the delay.
I believe, if I may, while you're waiting, Madam Chair, maybe to assist in this effort, because I've been on the other side of that before, and I know how frustrating it is.
Yeah.
But through you, Madam Chair, my understanding is that there potentially may be a cap of 26 cents in subsequent years. Does that sound accurate to you, Madam Chair?
That does sound accurate. I don't want to commit to that, but that would be by, again, the year 2032.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. And my understanding of how this model operates, and you could please confirm if this is correct or not, is that this method would essentially work to change behavior. Is that my understanding, to reduce emission standards? Is that your understanding of how this model operates through you, Madam Chair?
Thank you, Representative. So basically, the states involved determine the emissions level. They set a cap based on the current emissions level, very similar to the program that we implemented around regional greenhouse gas emissions, affectionately known as the RGGI initiative. And they set that cap, set a certain number of allowances, sell those allowances at auction. The cap reduces each year. So it's considered a cap and invest system. They take the allowance proceeds and reinvest it. The investments go into, as we mentioned, often at least 50% into communities that are overburdened by pollution. particularly air quality. We know that we're in non-attainment with our national ambient air quality standards or NOx emissions. So looking closely at that in terms of our also our environmental justice communities, as well as looking at our communities that are traditionally underserved, communities in more rural areas. How do we connect our towns and cities by a transportation system that is up to date? This is what we know we need to do to bring our transportation system to meet up to snuff, if you will, for our those who are seeking to come into the state and enjoy its use. So we want to connect people with our various cities and towns by updating our transportation system, but additionally creating more electric vehicles and emission-friendly vehicles. We know that many of our vehicle manufacturers have already made commitments to move away from combustible engines. And so in keeping with that, working together with industry to really reduce carbon emissions on the whole. So we'll be looking at that. We also know that there's traditionally poor health outcomes in communities that are overburdened by some of these facilities. So investing in ways that we can improve health outcomes for those communities will be an important component of this program.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm happy you brought up some of the initiatives of this bill, or excuse me, initiatives of the funding. I think those are obviously extremely important and critical initiatives. The one question I do have related to that, however, is there anything in the bill that you could point to that would restrict these particular funds from being rated like the Special Transportation Fund has been rated in the past? Through you, Madam Chair.
Yes, and thank you for that question, Representative Harding. And I would just call your attention to lines 30 through 36 of the substitute proposed bill LCO 6199, that the proceeds shall be deposited into a transportation and climate account established by the comptroller as a separate non-lapsing account within the Transportation Grants and Restricted Accounts Fund. Additionally, to note, the proceeds shall not be considered pledged revenue and cannot be used, therefore, to pay off debt. They must, proceeds must be used for projects.
Thank you. And through you, Madam Chair, I think there's similar language. There's even a constitutional amendment that protects the Transportation Fund, yet we've seen tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars of the Special Transportation Fund being used towards alternatives and going into the general fund. So is there anything constitutionally that would even rise to protect this, or how is this any different than the Special Transportation Fund through you?
Well, thank you, Representative Harding. And as you just mentioned, we have created a lockbox through constitutional amendment in recent years, just in the past 2 years, to create that lockbox on the Special Transportation Fund and avoid a rating situation. So we, and in actuality, rather than the so-called raid, we've actually diverted a lot of funds from the general fund, or a lot of monies from the general fund, to put into the Special Transportation Fund, because there is a recognition that we need those dollars spent on transportation infrastructure and initiatives. So I would say this language does its best to protect those funds, and I am confident, based on our constitutional amendment that we did put in place a couple of years ago, that we are protected here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And through you, Madam Chair, following up on the same issue, I believe we have a similar program. This stems very similar to RGGI, the program that we have here in the state of Connecticut. Could you advise me on whether or not the RGGI program has been rated at all over the past couple of years through you, Madam Chair?
Uh, Thank you, Representative. And I don't know the dollar specifics on Reggie, but I can tell you that Reggie was implemented before our Special Transportation Fund lockbox. I also know that this is a transportation related initiative, and as such, there are lines in the bill that specifically indicate where these dollars must go. And I'd have to further examine the Reggie balance sheet to understand exactly what's come in and where those dollars have gone. Certainly an exercise I'd be willing to undertake with you, Representative.
I appreciate that, Madam Chair, and thank you. And I believe, I think it's safe to say, however, if I may, that Reggie has been rated in the past. And obviously something that none of us support, but I do fear that the same potentially for this program, because I do believe that all of these initiatives are critically important. And I would hate to see, and I think everyone on this committee would hate to see any of these funds go towards anything other than what it was intended to address. Unfortunately, here in the state of Connecticut and our government, as we well know, for many years, there has been a significant problem with money going towards the areas that we as legislators have intended for those funds to go towards. It has been a past precedent for many, many years. And unfortunately, I think, it creates a level of cynicism amongst legislators on both sides of the aisle in terms of new revenue sources that we create, going to areas of funding and legislation that we see either diverted before it even hits these funds, which we've seen with the Special Transportation Fund in recent years, and even the fund being rated itself. And so I have a serious level of fear that these funds will be rated or could be rated similar to the way that the Special Transportation Fund has been rated in the past. And also similar to the way Reggie has been rated as well. I hope that protections that we've put in place in recent years would address some of that. But as we've seen, funds have been quote unquote diverted before hitting these particular funds, even after we've implemented constitutional amendments protecting these funds. So, I have serious questions on whether or not these funds are truly going to go to the areas which all of us in this committee are working hard to intend it to go towards. That's one aspect I wanted to address, and thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me to address that. And if I may, Madam Chair, I will make some comments on the remaining aspects of the bill, if I may. And this is just in general, in terms of what this bill is. I know there's a lot of schematics to how this bill operates in terms of how the additional revenue comes into the state. But at the end of the day, no matter how we examine it, this is going to be a tax on the consumers and our constituents. We are voting today to implement a gas tax. That's truly what this is. Admittedly, from the proponents of this bill, the gas tax for our constituents are going to go up by at least 5 cents. At least 5 cents. Admittedly, from the individuals that are the proponents of this program, we are going to be voting for a gas tax today of at least 5 cents, none of which is going to go into the Special Transportation Fund, which we all know is in critical need of funding. Many of it is intended to go towards some critical services, which I think all of us in this committee support. But as I just discussed, I think all of us should be cynical of whether or not this is actually going to go towards these critical initiatives, and whether or not this is simply just going to go towards funding other initiatives in the general fund, as hard as we may try to address those funding towards the areas that we need to address here in this particular bill. So as I said, it's 5 cents at minimum per gallon for our constituents, and as much as 9 cents in the first year. As much as 9 cents per gallon in the first year for our constituents, as we're voting on today. And then as much as 26 cents in additional years. I mean, I just don't see how we could possibly be implementing this sort of gas tax on our constituents at this time. I understand it's implemented in 2023, but it's an extremely regressive tax. You have to pay for gas to get back and forth to work. I know we're working on important initiatives to try to introduce electric vehicles and into our fleets of cars here throughout the state, and I think that's great. And I think we should continue working on that. But to implement the program, which effectively will be is intended to prevent our constituents from being able to fill up their gas tank to the point where they can no longer do it, is not a policy that I think we should be voting on here in the state of Connecticut. I just think this is as important as many of these initiatives are in this bill, and they are critically important. Implementing a gas tax as much as 9 cents in the first year and as much as 26 cents in subsequent years, in my opinion, is not good policy. I believe there are better ways we can be addressing our emissions, and there's better ways we can be funding the critical services that are addressed in this particular bill, other than implementing this program. And that's the reason that I'll be voting no today. And I do appreciate, Madam Chair, your work on this, and I know you'll be continuing to work on this. But I just can't support this initiative based upon my comments there. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative, for your comments. I see Representative Callahan has a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple comments. First of all, I would certainly associate myself with the comments of my ranking member, Representative Harding. And I know I'm a freshman member of this committee, but my background is I worked for a lot of environmental causes in my communities. So I certainly have great concern for our environment. But in reading the Tufts study, Texas studies, and input from my constituents, I agree with Representative Harding. This is just another tax. And in reviewing our March 8th public hearing, at several different points, yes, I guess I'm an insomniac. I reviewed the March 8th hearing on CTN. At several times during that meeting, representatives mentioned that we have to tax the people more. They're gonna, and I'm paraphrasing, or they're gonna keep driving. And getting involved in the legislature, again, this is all new to me, but I don't think we should be involved in legislating behavior change based on a point of view. I agree that we should do all we can to protect the environment, but there are several states that already are opting out of TCI. We already pay the highest, some of the highest electricity rates in the United States, our constituents. We pay the highest gas tax in New England. By taxing people to change their behavior, first of all, the entry-level electric cars is over $31,000. And most people who I try and teach myself and teach my kids how to change oil, how to work on their car. These people that need to get to work can't afford an entry-level $30,000 car. And if something goes wrong with it, they don't know how to fix it. So I have numerous concerns trying to legislate people to behave a certain way. What's next? Are we going to legislate people and tax them to not eat red meat? I just don't think this is what we should be doing. And furthermore, where it goes to underrepresented communities, who gets to choose who's underrepresented? Is it Norwalk that gets a considerable pollution from across the Sound? So they suffer. How is this going to help them? Danbury has 84 and 684 running around it. Is Danbury going to be included? There's so many problems, and this is going to be such a burden on the lower and middle class that I'm certainly a hard no vote on this, and I think I would urge my colleagues to do the same. And I certainly appreciate your time, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Callahan. And if I might, sort of as chair, respond to some of those comments that you've made. We are not legislating here with TCI to change behavior. This is a cap and invest program. We're not looking to change prices at the pump to disincentivize use of combustible engines or disincentivize the purchase of gasoline, but rather we are looking to sell allowances at auction to invest the proceeds of that auction into overburdened communities, those traditionally underserved by transportation, to update our transportation infrastructure in the state of Connecticut by improving public transportation. This by no means is a program where you are looking to tax consumers, as you say, Representative, to again try to get them not to purchase gasoline. That is not the premise of this program. I also just want to mention, there's been some talk about RGGI, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. This is a program very similar to TCI, also received some resistance at the get-go, though has been incredibly successful and a model that we can look to. I believe the program's been going on for in excess of a decade, probably about even more, 12 years now. The cap, the cost containment reserve, just as we have here within the lines of the bill, the TCI bill, can be triggered. But with RGGI and all that time and, many auctions, I think 50 or 60 auctions, that cost containment reserve has only been triggered twice. And so that's really important to recognize. We have the protections in place if they are needed for consumer protection, but they have not yet been triggered. And so those are important points that we need to make here. And remember that we are trying to make Connecticut better. We are trying to invest in an infrastructure system, a transportation infrastructure system that works for the people of Connecticut. And that's really what we're doing through this program. Again, it is not intended to put a tax on gasoline by any means and look to disincentivize people from driving their cars. I see Senator Haskell has some comments or questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Madam Chair. Just a very brief comment. First, I want to thank you and Representative Kresko for your leadership on the Transportation Climate Initiative. I look forward to supporting the legislation today, and I wanted to say just very briefly why I think this legislation is so desperately needed here in the state of Connecticut. I recently had the chance to speak with the Climate Change Youth Summit organized by the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. It was an inspiring gathering of high school and college students, I think even some middle school students. And I can tell you that young people all across the state, in all of our districts, red districts, blue districts, they're earnestly looking to the state government and wondering whether or not we are going to stand up for their future, whether or not we're going to defend and protect their right to drink clean water and to breathe clean air. Our carbon emissions are at a historic low right now. I think it's one of the few silver linings of the pandemic. And I think it would be a real shame if we decided to just return to the old normal. Let's not put kids back on those diesel buses that pump exhaust into their lungs. Let's not just accept as a fact that urban communities are going to see higher asthma rates, which, by the way, is not just a moral injustice, but is an economic cost for all of us. Let's recognize that our constituents, as much as we would like them to buy electric vehicles, they're never going to do so until they have charging stations and feel comfortable traveling around the state of Connecticut. I know that our transportation system, specifically the Special Transportation Fund, is desperately in need of revenue. But I want to clarify that I'm voting yes today, not just because of the revenue, but because I'm thinking about all of the 21st century green collar jobs that this is going to create. I'm thinking about the advanced manufacturing firm in Oxford, Connecticut, that's building electric vehicle charging stations. And they desperately want to hire more Connecticut residents, advanced manufacturing students out of Housatonic Community College, but only if they see that we're a state that not only believes in climate change, but believes that it's our responsibility to do something about climate change and to step up to the plate. So I look forward to supporting the bill. And I just wanted to thank you for all of your work on this important initiative.
Thank you so much for those comments, Senator Haskell. I also wanted to just respond to Representative Callahan as well, that the states who were in the consortium for TCI, and I believe there's 11 plus the District of Columbia, remain in the consortium. and are looking to potentially join the memorandum of agreement moving forward. Currently, we signed that agreement with Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and the District of Columbia, who all intend to move forward with the program. We in Connecticut require legislation to provide the authority to create the regulations around such a program, but the other states have not completely backed away. And it's important to recognize that in the future they may be acting upon the components of this program. And I see Representative Wilson is next, followed by Representative Pong.
Good morning, and thank you, Madam Chair. And I too want to express my gratitude to you and Representative Gresco and Senator Minor and the other leadership on the committee for all the work behind the scenes that you do on this. I know there's been all kinds of dialogue. I'm still really trying to understand this and get my arms around it, because it still comes down to a revenue raise and how we raise that revenue. And so could you clarify for me if in fact this isn't a gas tax, where is the revenue going to come from?
Thank you, Representative. So there will be a certain number of allowances for sale at auction. They will be auctioned off to the wholesalers. And the proceeds of those auction allowances will be placed into the special transportation fund in a lockbox.
So to me, I'm getting this feeling of semantics. In other words, so it's at the wholesale level, and if I'm bidding in this auction, I'm going to have to get the money to pay if I win that auction. And so am I going to have to raise the price of my product to my retailer who sells it to the end consumer?
That will certainly be up to the wholesaler representative, whether or not to pass on increased costs to their customers and ultimately to the end user.
So the reality is it would be very strange for someone in the wholesale petroleum business to want to absorb this cost just so that they can maybe get some more volume, if I understand. So, I mean, I have to align my remarks with my ranking member and the other folks who have commented who are in opposition to this bill this morning, and say that this really is quite regressive. It's certainly going to hurt those folks who can't afford to go out and buy an electric car. And then I have my doubts because I have a fairly long family background in the automobile business. And so I think about the used pre-owned cars that are going to come back into the market. And what we don't know is we don't have a lot of history on these used pre-owned electric vehicles and what their actual longevity is going to be. And from my understanding, the repair of these vehicles, as they get miles on them, becomes much more prohibitively expensive than it would be in a gasoline powered internal combustion engine. So when I start to put all this together in my mind, it's saying to me that the little folks who can barely afford and are living week to week on their paychecks, how are they going to ever get into the electric market and accomplish what it is that we're trying to do here? So I just want to make sure that my fellow committee members know I think we have a lot more work to do on this. I don't think we have to rush into it. In Senator Harding's remarks, he talked about the importance of what we do on the committee and that we're trying to do the best we can for the environment. But sometimes moving slower makes more sense so that we don't make mistakes. And so I'm a definite no on this bill this morning. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Wilson. And I will point out and remind folks from the hearing that we did hear support from both BP and Shell on the program. I think that that's important to note. And I also will say, just being a business owner myself, that there are times when we absorb costs because we have to be competitive in the market. And we do have neighboring states, Massachusetts and Rhode Island, who are participants with us in this program. And so I do not anticipate that all costs are going to be passed on to the consumer. Will some? Perhaps, and that's why there is a projection of 5 cents in year one, and there are cost containment reserves to account for that. And I think I pointed out how that's worked in the past with our RGGI program. It will work the same way. And I think certainly, let's say we're paying an additional 50 cents at the pump in year one. I think that is well worth the price when we're talking about improving our transportation infrastructure across the state of Connecticut, improving health outcomes, and creating really worthwhile programs across the state that will make our state more desirable to not only do business in, but to live in for many years to come. And not to mention, certainly at the crux of this, the environmental implications, the positive environmental implications that Senator Haskell pointed out to us. I will go to Representative Palm, followed by Representative Mashinsky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think whenever we enact legislation for which there is a possible cost to the consumer, there's always controversy. But I would ask respectfully my fellow committee members to think about the business that we're in, which is protecting the environment. And gas prices, which are based on OPEC and the cost of a crude barrel of oil, fluctuate dramatically, and they do so constantly. In 2008, it was $4.20 was the average price across the country. That dropped to $1.75 a year later, and then it shot back up to $3.75 in 2011. I ran some numbers about what the real costs might be. And based on a couple of assumptions, I'm assuming a 12-gallon tank per car, and I'm assuming people fill up maybe every other week. So again, those are assumptions. But at 5 cents a gallon, that results in $15.60 per year to the consumer. And if we went up to the cap of 9 cents, that turns out to be $28.08 per year. I believe that if you were to go into a community that is highly polluted and ask that anybody, would you be willing to pay $15 a year to reduce the pollution in your neighborhood? They would say yes. If you went into a district that was rural and had very few public transportation opportunities and said, would you be willing to pay $15 or $20 a year to have a bus that you could hop on or a shuttle? I believe most people would say yes. So for the cost of a takeout meal, or in fact, parking your 1-ton hunk of metal for a couple of hours in a city, you can pay $15 once. So to me, this is a very, very good investment in protecting neighborhoods that are already suffering from polluting entities and traffic congestion, and also making more public transport accessible to older folks, people without licenses, the disabled in communities where towns are spread farther apart from shopping areas. So to me, it's a good investment, and I will support this bill gladly. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Mashinsky, followed by Representative Horn.
A lot of this debate is very familiar from the previous debate on RGGI. And folks that have been here for a while remember that RGGI money was invested into energy efficiency and clean energy projects. For example, in my town of Wallingford, Gaylord Hospital got a large RGGI grant to do energy efficiency and clean energy at their hospital and reduce their costs. And one of the schools in my town also did the same. Some of the Reggie money was used for insulating and for improving buildings. And it was the same kind of debate we had over Reggie, which was the building portion of the emissions. Now we're talking about transportation emissions, which is almost 40% of the climate change problem. And as some of the other members of the committee have pointed out, it's not only transportation is not only an air pollution issue. In fact, transportation is 66% of the NOx emissions in our state, making people sick, developing asthma, and limiting their movement in the summertime when NOx is high. But not only is it an air pollution issue, it's also an issue of access. And in some areas, seniors can't get to their medical appointments. They can't move around. They're trapped in their own houses. And one of the things we could invest in with this transportation climate initiative is accessible transportation for people who don't have it now. Minibuses, shared vehicles, many ways we can improve access. So we can reduce air pollution, we can improve public access, we can prepare for, start doing it now. I would say not waiting any longer, of course. We have, in 9 years, we have to have our plan in place before we reach the tipping point of climate change. So this should have been done in the 1980s, and we're just getting to it now. And rather than being premature, it's overdue. So I hope we will go ahead. I think people will find that that just as in the case of Reggie, the reinvestment was a good thing for our state and made it more efficient. I think you'll see the same thing with the vehicle change over. And this will not be an argument anymore when people see the reinvestment in their community. So I believe in this program, and I hope we will go forward with it today. And thank you, Madam Chair and Mr. Chairman, for all your hard work on this bill.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Horn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to, I represent, a very rural part of the state, a lot of small towns, and we have very little public transportation. So people drive. I drive a lot. And so the costs that this bill might impose on my constituents is meaningful to me. And I've done that math that Representative Palm has been through, and I've done it in various ways. And so it's not enough. It will have a real impact on my constituents. And so this is something that I've paid a great deal of attention with and have wrestled with. And the point I guess I want to make is that those aren't the costs of these, the burning of these fuels and their contribution to climate change and air quality are already being paid. They are already imposing costs on other residents. Sometimes we don't pay attention to them because they're diffuse, or they get generated in one area and paid by another community. And so there's that, there are externalities, and so we don't often feel them. I hope there is increasing evidence to really quantify, there is increasing data to quantify those costs in terms of economic activity, in terms of health costs, but we are already paying those. And so for me, that's the math, that yes, it's going to be an additional cost, and you may see it at the pump, and so it's easily quantifiable for people. But I weigh it against both the costs we're already paying in terms of environmental degradation and climate change, and the path that we're on, that those are just getting more and more excessive. And so it is our job, and particularly in this committee, but as legislators generally, to take into account those diffuse costs that are being borne by particularly vulnerable residents of our state and our communities, and to do that math. So for my community in particular, because I have we don't have public transportation, and that is a real problem for older people in my district and other, disabled people, lots of vulnerable people, and it is a constant challenge. I am hopeful that this bill will provide opportunities to have increased transportation options for my constituents who desperately need that. Also, things like broadband, which can also have positive environmental impact. So I understand that the math is hard and this is a difficult step, and a lot of things are uncertain. But for me, it's one that we have to take because we have to take into account the costs that are already being borne by people. So again, I join my colleagues in thanking the leadership of the committee for the hard work, thorny work on this particular bill, and I will support it today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Representative Warren. Representative O'Day, followed by Senator Kushner. Representative,
thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you for the birthday wishes. Very much appreciated from everybody. So just briefly, I'm not disagreeing with my colleagues. The goal of this is a noble one. However, I would just ask everyone, my district, whether they're paying 9 cents more a gallon or 10, or frankly, I had proposed an idea to a good colleague on this call about, what about a $1 gas tax with 50 cents going to the federal government infrastructure program and 50 cents minus the gas tax of each state going back to the state, meaning hopefully that would have everybody's gas cost the same throughout the country. There are people in my district that wouldn't mind that. Unfortunately, what's happened in our state is the cost to live here has gone through the roof. We will all agree we've got some of the highest gas taxes in the country. We've got some of the highest taxes in the country overall. The cost of living in Connecticut is high. We're going to talk about the bottle bill coming up, increasing the deposit by a nickel. So, that's what it's a $10 a week for some people. That's not a lot of money for some in my district, but in the cities, we're just piling on our residents and making it harder and harder for those that are just getting by. We're talking in judiciary about eliminating costs for calls to inmates, which is a good thing to do. But again, that's going to result in a decrease in revenues. We're going to end up increasing the costs for us on a lot of different things. And it's just going to make it harder and harder for those least able to afford in the state. And those residents, as costs go up. So I understand the good proponents' desires for this bill, but there are other ways to accomplish this. And just adding to the cost of living in Connecticut is just, it's not going to affect me adversely, but it's going to affect a lot of people in the state of Connecticut that can least afford it dramatically. So I would urge my colleagues to keep working on this. I understand it's probably going to get through today. I would just hope that we think about those that can least afford it first. But anyway, thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Representative. And I'll just note, and I appreciate those comments, they are noted. And I'll just say that through this board that will be helping to inform DEEP and DOT on the projects in which to invest in across the state, we will be providing to communities that have, low-income individuals that could benefit from the use of public transportation, and creating initiatives to provide more public transportation in those areas is incredibly important. Additionally, making environmentally friendly options affordable for our lower and middle income families is very important. And so we can drive investment in our cheaper program to provide further incentives for some of those families. and lower the cost of some of these vehicles, including used or lower retail priced electric vehicles. But also, I would just note that this is about economic development as well. You know, we have companies like Juice Bar, who provides charging station primed and ready to create jobs in the state, and so that will help everybody statewide, and arguably helps our taxpayers ultimately. The more economic development we can drive here, so. I just want to note that, on the heels of those comments of Representative O'Day. Senator Kushner.
I will be brief, but I do want to say I so appreciate the work by the chairs and by the vice chairs and so many comments from my colleagues today in support of passage of this important initiative. And I too will be voting for it. I do want to say that coming from a western part of the state, I think one of the most important aspects of this that Representative Horn touched on is the investment in public transportation. And I hope so much that this will be considered for our part of the state, because one of the real challenges we face is getting around from Danbury to Hartford to Boston. And I think that this would help so many and relieve so much congestion and pollution that is on I-84. And certainly it would help all of us, including Representative Horn, getting around the state. So I'm fully in support of it and really see this as an opportunity to improve public transportation and access to public transportation for all in our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kushner. Representative Harrison.
Good morning, Senator. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I've being a freshman, done a deep dive, or at least feel I have. So between reading all of the bill and reaching out to the Tufts study, as well as the Yankee Institute. And the bottom line for me is that we are raising taxes. We're raising them regressively. We're going to put them the biggest burden on the people who can least afford it. And while everybody has estimates of what it's going to cost, and you could go into the community and you could ask them, oh, for this amount of money, would you want to do that? But when you ask them if it's going to affect directly to their pocketbook, I wonder if their answer would be a little bit different. I made a promise as a freshman that I would not support anything that increased taxes to my constituents. And because of that, I'm going to be a no vote today. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Harrison. And I will just note that the Tufts study was done prior to the language of the bill being written and does not take into account any cost containment reserve. Representative Piscopo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'll try not to be too repetitive. It will hurt the poorest, and it is a tax, but I will try and stick to more of the environment. I think the intention would be to switch us over to electric forms of public transportation or private transportation, and that's not necessarily the answer. We heard from the Truckers Association that the internal combustion engine is burning so much cleaner than it ever has. I mean, and not even that. If we look that far back, he mentioned late 90s till now, one truck replaces 60 trucks that used to be riding around at the turn of this century, 1999 to 2000. So that's quite a figure, and I can equate that to buses in the inner city. So we've been progressively getting cleaner. You had mentioned unattainable days, and yes, we do have those, but they're far, far less than they used to be. Maybe in the single digits over a bad summer, over a bad heat wave in our summer, instead of weeks like we used to have. So our air is getting cleaner, and the internal combustion engine is getting much more efficient. We heard from the Gas Station Association that we were energy independent. So the fluctuations mentioned in earlier debate on this bill we're not even going to happen because we were energy independent. American oil from American soil, and that includes North America, Mexico, and Canada. And Canada is where we get most of our oil anyway. And since January, actions have been taken where we're now not energy independent anymore, and we're going to be starting to depend on those OPEC nations. So we will probably see fluctuations. So this is not a good time to go into this kind of policy. And in the electric car, I have somewhere in my files a report from a student in Central Connecticut State College where he compared the electric Prius to a Humvee. Remember the big Humvees that they used to have? And if you look at the lifespan and the way they are constructed, it takes a lot of energy to make these electric vehicles. The mining of the batteries in some nations where their labor laws are not as good as ours by any stretch, and terrible labor laws, and they're mining the minerals for these batteries. They have to be sent to China to build the batteries, and then they're sent back to the United States for assembly. And it's a lot of energy and effort to make an electric vehicle. And the charging, it was mentioned during the public hearing that it's 30 minutes for a charge. If you have to drive somewhere, if you have to take a business trip to, I don't know, DC or something, and you have to stop for gas for an electric charge, it's a half hour, and that's just for a temporary charge. That's not even a full charge. I'm just thinking of the guy that lives in Harwich, Connecticut, and he probably works in Danbury. Long driveway, snows 3 inches that morning. He's got to get to work, so he can't take the bus. There's no bus, so he needs that vehicle, and then to jam him with these extra fees is just unconscionable right now, and it's just not good policy right now. And so I urge my colleagues to please vote no on this. Let's stop this thing now on environmental reasons also. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative. And I do think it's important to note that many companies are beginning to move into electric vehicles for their medium and heavy duty trucks. There is actually a waiting list for electric semi trucks, and we need to prepare ourselves as the industry is moving in that direction to create the infrastructure in place for these vehicles that are looking to be more environmentally friendly. These companies by the putting these electric fleets on the road, but also long term have discovered that electrifying their fleets actually saves dollars, and we heard some testimony to that effect as well. So I think I don't see any other hands raised. So would that being the end of the discussion on this bill, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
For Senate Bill 884, LCO 6199, Senator Cohen?
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Representative Gresco?
Representative Gresco votes yes.
Senator Slapp? Representative Palm?
Representative Palm votes yes.
Senator Minor? Representative Harding?
Representative Harding votes no.
Representative Berger Giavalo?
Representative Berger Giavalo votes yes.
Representative Betts? Representative Callahan?
Representative Callahan votes no.
Representative Chafee?
Representative Chafee votes yes.
Representative D'Amico?
Representative D'Amico votes yes.
Representative Dillon?
Representative Dillon votes yes.
Representative Dubitsky? Representative Fishbein? Representative Gucker?
Representative Gucker votes yes.
Representative Harrison?
Representative Harrison votes no.
Senator Haskell. Representative
This would
Hennessy.
address the gas tax?
Excuse me, I'm just getting. used
Representative
to it.
Hennessy votes yes.
Thank you, Representative Hennessy. Representative Horn.
Representative Horn votes yes.
Senator Kasser. Senator Kushner. Representative Michelle.
Representative Michelle votes yes.
Representative Mashinsky.
Representative Mashinsky votes yes.
Representative O'Day. Representative Parker.
Representative Parker votes yes.
Representative Piscopo.
Representative Piscopo votes no.
O'Day votes no as well. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Representative Rabimbis.
Representative Rabimbis votes no.
Representative Reyes. Representative Ryan.
Representative Ryan votes yes.
Representative Smith.
Representative Smith votes yes.
Representative Wilson.
Representative Wilson votes no.
Representative Young.
Representative Young votes yes.
That concludes the vote.
Excuse me, Madam Clerk, is it possible for me to cast my vote now?
Oh, of course, we haven't moved on. Senator Kasser.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Senator Kushner, I apologize.
Oh, Senator Kushner votes yes. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I heard one more voice.
Yep, Representative Fishbein votes no. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. That concludes the vote, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next on our agenda is under Roman numeral 3 is number 2, House Bill 6551, an act concerning environmental air quality. It is a JFS to the floor, LCO.
Pardon me.
number
So moved.
622. I'm sorry. It was moved by Representative Michelle and seconded by Representative Hennessy.
Before we go on, could we just clarify as to whether or not we're holding votes?
Yes, thank you. We
Thank
will
you.
be holding votes open. Thanks for the reminder from our LCO Brad Towson that we will be holding the votes open for an hour after the conclusion of this meeting. At the end of the meeting, I will announce the exact time. So this bill has several sections. The first section establishes an environmental equity working group within the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. By October 1st of 2022, they shall establish criteria for identifying disadvantaged communities for the purposes of pollutant reduction, greenhouse gas emission reduction, regulatory impact statements, and allocating various investments. The second part of this bill, second section, is a modification to our environmental justice law and establishes some ability for our Department of Environmental Protection and the Connecticut Siting Council to deny certain applications or permits if they determine there are less harmful alternatives, but also allows for an appeal process of the applicants. There is also in section 3 under our Global Warming Solutions Act 22A-200A, which is our Global Warming Solutions Act. This actually impacts 22A-200B, where we would ensure that we are meeting the Global Warming Solutions Act greenhouse gas emission levels and ensuring that those are reached. And section 4 of the bill is with respect to data centers, all of us recently passed language in a session earlier this year to incent data centers for starting business here in the state of Connecticut. Many of them use diesel backup generation, and this works to establish criteria for setting up those facilities with respect to the burning of fossil fuels that they are potentially using for that backup generation. So I do see some comments or questions. Representative Harding, followed by Representative Michelle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so my first comment, or excuse me, my first question through you, Madam Chair, is in regards to, excuse me, the data center language that was added in the JFS bill. I know that this relates to the bill that was passed recently by both the House and the Senate, and I believe was led by the DECD and the governor's office. And so my question is in regards to this language being added in, and whether the governor's office and DECD was consulted on this language, and because obviously we want to address the environmental aspect of data centers, which I understand this bill is addressing, but at the same time we also want to make the bill that the governor's office and DECD just passed to be effective. So I'm just my first question is in regards to that, through you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Harding. And yes, to answer your question, we worked closely with the governor's office as well as Commissioner Lehman and Commissioner Dykes to craft this language. Other states who incentivize data centers into their states have similar language, especially with respect to green building code. And it was felt by both the governor's office and DECD as well as DEEP that we could still incentivize data centers but also have environmental standards in place as we do so. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I guess through you, Madam Chair, if I'm allowed, I'll be making a comment now. So thank you for your answer on that, because I know that is a concern. We just passed this bill. We obviously wanted to bring in economic development into our state, which is a critical opportunity for all our residents and all of our districts. And we certainly don't want to create legislation which runs counter to the recent bills passed that would hopefully do a lot to help energize our economic development here in the state. In regards to other aspects of the bill, I will support the bill out of committee today. However, I have serious concerns, and I believe many of my colleagues have serious concerns in regards to the permitting process and some of the language that's in this bill. I think, and I've spoken with leadership, including you, Madam Chair, and Chairman Gresco and Chairwoman Palm, in regards to just clarifying some of that language and ensuring that some permits that may not necessarily be germane to the bill that we're passing here today is not placed into the same category, and so I look forward to the opportunity, and I will say here on the record at the meeting today that in order for my support at least going forward on the House and then potentially into the Senate, I would like to see some of that language addressed and further clarify what I believe is the intentions of this committee to address specifically the permit process for certain facilities. And so, I look forward to working with the leadership of this committee to address that, because I think that's critically important, and it is a concern of many individuals in this committee, and maybe why the committee may see some no votes today in regards to those concerns. So again, I will support the measure out of committee today with the intention of working with the leadership of this committee to address some concerns I have in the bill, encompassing some permits that may not necessarily be germane to this particular bill.
And so thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Harding. And yes, it's important to recognize that this changes, this is a change to the environmental justice statute. So it is applicable to environmental justice communities only. This is not applicable to permitting statewide. But in recognition of, some of your comments, as well as the testimony of DEEP, the leadership of this committee is committed to getting this language right. And further clarifying the intent, and we'll work with some of the advocates in the environmental justice community and proponents of the bill together with the leadership of this committee, including yourself, Representative Harding, to really get this right, and certainly have our Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, who would be involved in the permitting of such facilities, at the table for those discussions. Representative Michelle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to first thank you for Chair Gresco and everybody else involved in the works on this bill. It's a very important bill, the air quality bill, HB 6551. I just wanted to comment that I just would like to see maybe just a couple of things considered, and that I'm looking forward to discussion after we pass this bill out of committee. I will vote for the bill. I just wanted to see if we can continue the conversation with other stakeholders, as you just mentioned, particularly regarding maybe potentially expanding what polluting facilities are. Some edits, I think, that make sense, and then expanding also on the EJ side, environmental justice side, just to be more inclusive and make sure we include vulnerable communities that are currently suffering from various players that are causing air pollution. And that's it. But I appreciate all the work, and also for including the data centers. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative, and I appreciate all of your advocacy around environmental justice and air quality, and certainly these conversations will continue. Representative Harrison.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Do we know in this bill who determines what an impacted community is and how they're going to determine that?
With respect to air quality, in Section 1 of the bill, this working group that would be developed would be determining that criteria to identify disadvantaged communities. We have a requirement here that the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection should publish the draft criteria and a draft list of the disadvantaged communities by October 1st of 2022.
So my second question to that is, does the legislature end up having any oversight over that, or is it strictly a unilateral decision?
Well, certainly there are members of the working group is called out here. So we have 5 representatives from environmental equity communities, 2 representatives of the environmental justice program within DEEP. We have 2 representatives from the Department of Public Health appointed by them, 2 representatives of the Department of Housing, 2 of the Labor Department, and they would be working together. That is who comprises that working group. But with respect to those communities and the recommendations of that working group, that would be presented by DEEP. So, the legislature is not specifically called out as weighing in. With respect to environmental justice communities, there are criteria, and that is set forth already in our environmental justice statutes.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other questions, will the clerk please call the roll?
For House Bill 6551, Senator Cohen,
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Representative Gresco,
Representative Gresco votes yes.
Senator Slapp, Representative Palm,
Rep. Palm votes yes.
Senator Minor, Representative Harding,
Representative Harding votes yes.
Representative Berger Javallo,
Senator Berger Javallo votes yes.
Representative Betts, Representative Callahan,
Representative Callahan votes no.
Representative Chafee,
Representative Chafee votes yes.
Representative D'Amico,
Representative D'Amico votes yes.
Representative Dillon,
Representative Dillon votes yes.
Representative Dubitsky, Representative Fishbein, Representative Gucker,
Representative Gucker votes yes.
Representative Harrison,
Representative Harrison votes no.
Senator Haskell, Representative Hennessy,
Representative Hennessy votes yes.
Representative Horn,
Representative Horn votes yes.
Senator Kasser, Senator Kushner,
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Representative Michelle,
Representative Michelle votes yes.
Representative Mashinsky.
Mashinsky votes yes.
Representative Mashinsky, would you mind saying that one more time so I can have you on
Rep.
speaker view?
Mashinsky votes yes.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Representative O'Day,
Representative O'Day pulled over to vote no.
thank you. Representative Parker,
Representative Parker votes yes.
Representative Piscopo, Representative Verbimbis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Representative
Represent-
Piscopo. My apologies. I didn't know if I heard Representative Piscopo. I can't see him. I'm on speaker view, so I can't see him. I didn't know if he was speaking out.
I'm sorry, I was late on the mute button. Representative Piscopo votes no.
Thank you. Representative Verbimbis,
Representative Rabimbus votes no, and I'm always happy to follow Representative Piscopo.
Representative Reyes, Representative Ryan,
Representative Ryan votes yes.
Representative Smith,
Representative Smith votes yes.
Representative Wilson,
Representative Wilson votes no.
Representative Wilson, would you say that one more time?
Representative Wilson votes no.
Thank you. And Representative Young,
Representative Young votes yes.
and Senator Slapp, I think I saw you come in. Senator Slapp?
Yes, thank you. You have great eyes. So Senator Slapp votes yes.
Thank you. That concludes the vote, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to number 3, under Roman numeral 3, Senate Bill number 1037, an act concerning solid waste management. It is a JFS to the floor. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Representative Gresco, seconded by Representative Hennessy. So this bill, several sections, sections 1 through 5 make revisions to our current bottle bill language. There is expansion to the scope of the beverages that are included beginning July 1st of 2022. There is an increase in the amount of deposit beginning January 1st of 2022. It requires products to have a universal product code to allow for their redemption in reverse vending machines. It also increases beginning in July of this year the handling fee that distributors pay to retailers and redemption center owners. It also reduces the amount of unclaimed bottle deposits via sheets that are paid to the DRS commissioner. and allows for those to go back to the distributors. It also exempts manufacturers that sell, certain products, some of these smaller bottlers, if you will. In section 2, this is about unit-based pricing. It allows DEEP to develop an incentive program to help municipalities who perhaps want to partake in a unit-based pricing program for solid waste. Section 7 makes some requirements for reverse vending machines at certain retailers. Section 8 requires DEEP to develop a memorandum of agreement that would provide for the processing of at least 80% of wine and liquor beverage containers sold in the state to be made into furnace-ready cullet or a byproduct for use in cement, glass, or fiberglass products. So it requires DEEP to identify the agreement's parties and have the parties participate in those discussions and present us with a draft of the memorandum of agreement by January 15 of 2022. And lastly, in section 9, it requires DEEP to develop programmatic specifications for drafting a request of information from individuals, companies, and organizations about their experience and expertise and approaches for operating a statewide beverage container redemption management program. I see we have my co-chair, Representative Gresco, followed by Representative Holding.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And
Oh, so you go ahead.
I apologize. I thought she was calling me first. No, Representative Gresco, please go ahead, sir.
No, you had your hand up before I did, Steve. Go ahead.
I apologize. Madam Chair, I do apologize if I went,
No, I think that was my fault, Representative. And now I don't see the hands up. So please proceed, Representative Harding.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. So just one question through you, or a few questions, if I may, through you, Madam Chair. First question is that there had been some discussion about NIPS being included in the bottle bill. In your summary, I didn't hear anything about that. Is that going to be included in this bill? And if you could talk about that through you, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you, Representative Harding. Effective July 1st of 2022, beverage containers 50 milliliters or less of a spirit or liquor are included in the bill.
Okay, thank you. And through you, Madam Chair, is there any process that you're aware of to address the NIPS? Because my understanding is some of the issues that are problematic with NIPS is the size and the shape and being able to return those in reverse vending machines. Is there anything in place to address that through you, Madam Chair?
Thank you, Representative Harding. And you're correct. And I think we did hear at the hearing that INVIPCO and TAMRA are waiting for certain market conditions. But one of the companies has prototypes in the works for reverse vending machine to have bulk acceptance of these bottles, not yet in existence yet. So in other states that have a deposit on these NIP containers, they are redeemed by hand counting.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. And so through you, there is currently not an existing reverse vending machine available in this country that we're aware of that will take NIPS.
Not at this time, Representative. So, and I should also say, not only hand counting, but some areas do accept NIPS by weight as well.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So, essentially, through you, if one individual in the state is to purchase a NIP, they would be charged the 10-cent, still be charged the 10-cent redemption fee starting in 2022. But would not be able to return it other than the redemption center?
No,
Priya?
by law, Representative Harding, you can take your bottles or cans back to your place of purchase for redemption.
So thank you for that. Through you, is there anything, I think that we received significant testimony in our public hearing on this particular bill from many individuals in communities in which there are not redemption centers, or not at least easily accessible redemption centers, and also not easily accessible supermarkets. So is there anything in this bill to help address that issue, considering we're now increasing the fee to 10 cents?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for that question, Representative Harding. In Section 7, there is a requirement on reverse vending machines at retailers. So while there is a requirement that bottles be able to be redeemed at all retailers where they are sold, this bill requires dealers or retailers that are part of chain businesses that operate at least 10 units in the state and have at least 10,000 square feet to install at least 2 reverse vending machines. That should certainly help our communities, often referred to as food deserts, where there may not be a big box or a large grocery store, but maybe have a Dollar General, Family Dollar, CVS, a Walgreens. They would be required to have reverse vending machines. And again, this legislation is modeled after other states.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so another concern of mine, and we heard some testimony on this in our public hearing, is in terms of cross-state travel. I know that there are some studies that indicate that it's generally hasn't been seen to be too excessive, but I know in my district, being near a border in New York, I think that there are a lot of individuals that cross state lines and go to shop on weekends in our state. And so is there any efforts in this particular bill to address the point of sale issue, where certain supermarkets throughout the state may not be selling these items to individuals, and then but have to provide the 10-cent reimbursement when the person across the state, whether it be New York or Rhode Island. Actually, Rhode Island doesn't even have the bottle bill, but at least New York and Massachusetts would only pay 5 cents, and Rhode Island would be paying nothing. So is there any program that's being put in place from this bill to address that issue?
Well, I will say Rhode Island has legislation before their legislature right now for a bottle bill. And there are bills in both Vermont and Massachusetts currently pending legislative approval to increase their deposit amounts as well. And certainly we would be in line. New York is still drafting proposals, but we would be in line with our neighboring states should those legislative proposals come to fruition. I will also say that we heard from the reverse vending machine dealers that they have programs in place to work to prevent fraud, not only by developing reporting systems to help stores identify where fraud may be occurring, but also they have programs where through partnership with the manufacturers, with the bottlers, that there can be special labels or stickers or markings placed on bottles and cans to signify where that bottle or can was purchased. Another thing that we heard a little bit about is just simply deterrence, like producing ID upon redemption at some of our redemption centers at the border to show proof residency can be helpful. And so while those items are not specifically out in the bill, there are opportunities to prevent fraudulent activity from occurring, or cross-border fraud, as it's called.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And if I may, Madam Chair, just another question. In regards to glass, that is something that we received substantial testimony from municipalities that was the primary concern in terms of waste management and the price of the tipping fees, et cetera. And I see here in this bill, if I'm correct, that you know, the wine and spirits, the primary result of the glass we see in our waste streams, is taken out of this bill. Am I correct in understanding that through you, Madam Chair?
Well, I just want to be clear that it's taken out of the bottle deposit system, but it is actually in Section 8 of the bill, where a memorandum of agreement would be created, where DEEP would develop the terms of that MOA, providing for the in-state processing of those wine and spirit bottles. So still certainly helping the municipalities as they deal with the issue of weight in the waste stream and higher tipping fees, and trying to divert the glass in the state, you know, to be reused in some of these known products like cement, glass, or fiberglass. We know that there are certain facilities in the state that are anxious and eager to take the glass of the state, and so we just have to connect the pieces of the puzzle there, and the memorandum of agreement will help to do just that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And if I may, I'll just make some comments based upon the questions that I've had and address some of the concerns. I will be voting no today. I believe that in order to address this waste crisis we have here in the state, you know, I believe this needs to be a holistic approach. And you know, one concern I do have is the last question I had is in removing the glass and bottles, or at least the wines and liquors and spirits from the bottle bill, and not making this kind of a holistic approach now, and addressing everything we can now, as opposed to compartmentalizing it as we've done here with the JFS language. That's you know, one significant concern that I have. The other, you know, significant concern that I have, or excuse me, the two other significant concerns that I have, is in regards to moving the fee to 10 cents. I think we received significant testimony in the public hearing from many individuals indicating how difficult it would be, particularly those in economically disadvantaged communities throughout the state, to find locations and have the accessibility to return their recyclables. So there is a potential that we could be implementing a 10-cent fee, which we're going to be doing in this bill, and really not providing proper accessibility to everyone throughout the state to return those recyclables. I do appreciate some of the efforts made in this bill to address that issue, and I think that's a good step in the right direction, but I still have a level of questions and concern in that regard as well. I also have a concern in regards to the NIPS. You know, I would like to see the NIPS be implemented, and also have, you know, reverse vending machines for these NIPS to be in place. Maybe that is possible with the timeline that we're implementing, but as we sit here today and we're voting on this today, there is no reverse vending machines for NIPS available that I'm aware of anywhere throughout the country. My final concern is in regards to some of the crossover from other states, particularly for communities that are along the border. As we all know, Massachusetts is currently at 5 cents, and New York is currently at 5 cents. I understand there's pending legislation potentially, but as we sit here today, these states are all at 5 cents. And as we all know, Rhode Island has no bottle bill. And so if we're going to address this issue, I would hope that it could be done in legislation already. We should be implementing, in my opinion, procedures to address the prevention of crossover from other states within this bill. And I do look for, I have every reason to believe this will pass out of committee today, despite my concerns. But I do hope that moving forward on this bill that we will work to address all the concerns, obviously, that I've addressed, but certainly in regards to implementing through legislation procedure to prevent some crossover and potentially passing along costs to our retailers or distributors from recyclable purchases that were purchased along Rhode Island or Massachusetts or New York. So I thank you, Madam Chair. I would be remiss in not thanking Representative Gresco. I know, Madam Chair, you've worked hard on this, and I know Representative Gresco has made a priority of his for many years now to address this issue. There's no doubt about it that there needs to be a fix. My concern is I just want to make sure that when we implement this fix, it's done right. And I still have a lot of concerns in whether or not we're addressing this properly. So thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Representative. And I will just note that we did hear, as you noted, at a public hearing from some members of urban community and the concern about not having the reverse vending machines or opportunities available to return bottles and cans. I think some of that onus is on us in educating consumers that they can in fact return their bottles to the places at which they purchased them. But this bill is really getting at the heart of that in trying to increase redemption opportunities across the state by increasing the handling fee. We have heard over and over again that we will see an increase in the numbers of redemption centers statewide, creating economic opportunity, economic development, creating jobs, but most importantly, creating the opportunity for people to go and redeem those bottles and cans. And so we also know that some of these communities, these urban communities, are environmental justice areas. They are not only overburdened by pollution, and that's actually what I'm going to say. They are overburdened by pollution. Recycling rates have been traditionally low in some of these areas, and we heard from folks that we know that increasing the deposit amount incentivizes redemption. It cleans up our streets, and so we need to be mindful of the people in these communities and what they're faced with and the trash that they see on the streets. And this is a really good step in the right direction of getting those places cleaned up. So I see Representative Gresco followed by Representative Dillon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Look, we all know we've been at this for quite a few years in trying to modernize the bill, and I would be remiss if I didn't point out Representative Mushinski working probably twice as hard on this as all of us put together. And I'm also confident that this is probably not going to be the last version of this bill as it makes its way through the legislative process. Everyone acknowledges that we need a modernization of the bill, but everyone seems to have their line in the sand. And to Representative Harding's point, I think a universal kind of everybody happy at the end of the day bill is something that is as years have proven to us possibly out of our reach. However, we have our municipalities asking for us for our assistance in their management of solid waste. we have the redemption centers that have been the linchpin in all this, the ones that are clinging on to a business asking for our help. We need to have conversations concerning the Yashit money. I know in the bill, we have a portion of it going forward to go back to the industry. And I must say that I would be remiss again if I didn't say that I appreciate the industry in their change of position over the years into wanting to get their items and back to make new bottles and cans out of what they have sold. So we are very happy to see that. But I would also like to say that the evolution of this into a potential stewardship plan or EPR would be something that I would like to see as well. That last section in the JFS language, starting that process is a good first step. And I look forward to trying to work with everyone and the powers that be to give us direction on what we need to accomplish. So, Madam Chair, I look forward to working with you on this for the next several weeks, and hopefully we can come to an agreement that could at least get passed by the legislature and signed by the governor. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Dillon, followed by Representative Mashinsky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think it's important progress that this legislation at least contemplates in 2022 some accommodation for NIPS. If I were to, I represent a district which has a large number of low-income people, much lower than it was a year ago. But we're blessed with a river and parks. And if we were to point out what is littering our river and our parks, it's liquor bottles and it's nips. And so gaining the confidence of people on this issue, and they don't live in the north end of Hartford, where apparently the issues are different from what we're facing, has not always been easy. I did make a commitment to work on the NIPS issue, and if you recall, Madam Chair, I asked about it a lot during that long hearing. And in fact, a couple of people were unhappy that I challenged them on it, but that's okay. We're all friends and we don't always agree. I really would like to see a better remedy on the liquor bottles. I understand that there's a class of bespoke liquor bottles that are odd shaped, but if I'm going to see liquor bottles, which are small in number but large in volume and glass, ruining the landscape of a city, knowing that there are people driving through and blaming my constituents for that litter, we should be organizing and carrying it back to the distributors then maybe, because we need to find a remedy that's going to handle this, whether it's barcodes or something firmer. And I know this is not easy. The battle over the first bottle bill was before I was a legislator, but it was legendary. I believe there were people in this committee who were there then. And they were quoted many times, so that I'm very aware that it took a lot of work to get here. I think there may still be a problem with some urban communities, and I think we need to be able to do trust building and figure out how to handle the liquor bottles. But this is definitely some progress on the NIPS, and I thank you for that.
Thank you, Representative. And I'm hopeful that, this memorandum of agreement provides a solution for our municipalities with respect to the glass, wine, and spirit bottles as well. Representative Mashinsky, followed by Representative Gucker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The original bottle law was actually bipartisan, and the chief sponsor was actually a Republican senator from Canton, Senator Rusty Post. And in its history, it has often had members of both parties championing the bill and the improvements to the bill. I want to focus just on the effect on municipalities when we update this law. The municipalities, when they ran out of landfill space in Connecticut, they went to the legislature went to mandatory recycling and waste to energy, which got us through several decades and allowed us to handle our own waste in the state of Connecticut. Now we're up against a wall again where the municipalities can no longer market their recyclables overseas. They've been closed off from that market. They're no longer making money on the recyclable portion of waste. They will not be sending waste to Hartford Waste Energy Facility after 2024, which that deadline is not that far away. And they will suddenly be faced with transporting municipal trash 500 miles away and paying as much as $150 a ton to handle it. That is a significant burden on the municipalities. And as we modernize this law, we can help reduce that burden on them. We can divert materials from the waste stream. I look forward to also diverting the glass from the waste stream, if not today, hopefully within a couple of years before we get to 2024, when all this falls on the municipality. And when it falls on the municipality, it falls on the property taxpayer. It falls on urban residents, suburban residents, rural residents, whoever pays property taxes. So getting the industry to be part of this solution is critical. Avoiding a cost shift onto the municipalities is the only fair way to go. And it's well past time to, I know I've one redemption center in Wallingford that I went to see them on Saturday with my husband's Coca-Cola bottles. And they were very excited. This is the third owners for this facility. The other two could not make it, and they had to leave the business. This is the third owners trying to keep the business alive. I told them there was hope that they might get a raise after this bill goes through, and they were all excited. They talked about expanding into the storefronts next to them if that happened, and adding people. And they were just thrilled to think that the Environment Committee was finally listening to them. So I'm very happy to see that is in the bill too, the raise for them. It'll keep them moving. It'll allow them to expand. It'll allow redemption centers to expand in Hartford and other food desert areas. And the changes that the chairman made to the bill allow for more options for urban residents to redeem containers, which is a great benefit. And people will be able to collect the containers and make extra cash with them, which they do in my district. So I think all in all, it's a good package, and I hope the liquor bottles will come in later because we really need to get that weight out of the waste stream and not ship it 500 miles away. Thanks to both chairs for working on this so hard, and I hope this goes out on a bipartisan vote like it did originally. Thanks, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Representative, and we just so appreciate your knowledge and history on the committee and your commitment to all things environment, particularly your advocacy on this bill. So very grateful for that. I see Representative Gucker followed by Representative Reyes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for everybody for sticking in. Forgive me, I'm in two meetings at the same time, so I'm listening with one ear and one on the other end. But I do support this bill, and I would have loved to have seen it get more expanded. These NIPs are a big problem. You know, the one thing that I hear from all my municipalities, I have municipalities that are very rural, And I have the city of Danbury that's very, condensed. I live on a crossover street in a wetlands area in a watershed. And I can tell you the average life expectancy of a NIP is from the liquor store to my front yard. I could probably pay off my mortgage, by just going out and just walking up and down my road and picking up the bottles. If anybody's seen some of these people go in and buy these nips, they buy them in rows and racks. They don't just buy one little nip. They buy these pre-shrunk racks because I guess it's more convenient to just take a shot, throw the bottle somewhere, take another shot, throw the bottle. And this has become a big problem. My former mayor, who's now the commissioner of revenue services, staunch Republican, would look at me and say, Ken, if there's anything you can do in Hartford, can we do something about these nips? Something needs to be done with this. It's unfortunate that we have to push legislation to tell people to protect and save our environment. It's sad that people just throw things out the window for convenience. And it's because of these nips being sold. It is for a convenience on the consumer, not a convenience for anybody else. If anything that we've learned over the years is, necessity becomes the mother of invention. I hate to sound like, Field of Dreams here, but if we build it, they will come. If we expand this bottle bill, industry will come to be able to deal with, the very hurdles that we're seeing. We may see vending machines and other businesses pop up and say, this is profitable enough to be able to actually, do something about this. There is some money to be made. I mean, I see this with dealing with restoring old cars to where for a long time a part may not be available and you'd have to scour the world looking for that part. But then a private entrepreneur looks and says, hey, there's a lot of guys or a lot of people looking for this particular item. What will it cost us to tool up and what will it take to get that going down the road? And they do it and they make that significant investment because they see in the end that it's going to be a worthwhile cause. I think that we should go forward with this. I think we should think more about the environment. We should look at industry will come. And we talk about economic development here in Connecticut. This could be an economic development thing. I would love to see more redemption centers. Here in Danbury, we don't have any redemption centers. We have to go back to the local stores. But I would like to see maybe that expand. And I think by increasing to the 10 cents and by including NIPS and other things, we'll do that. And I am a border town. The state of New York is literally 3.5 miles from my door. I could walk there and back in an afternoon. But I don't have that fear, and I'm not hearing that fear from others. Is it an inconvenience? Is it uncomfortable to change? Yeah, change is always uncomfortable. But I think it's a change that we need to make. And I think you will find that the public will be receptive to it. For these people buying these 24, 30 nips at a shot, and just throwing the bottles wherever, you know what? They can pay the 10 cents on each one of those little bottles. And maybe that might curb their attitude. Maybe instead of them throwing it out the window of their car, they might put them in a trash bag or they might put them in a recycling bag and bring them back and maybe start to think that the rest of us don't spend our afternoons picking up the little red caps from the Fireball bottles and all the other little pieces because, they never fall together. The cap goes out first, then the bottle comes out second. That we wouldn't have to deal with it. So I am in wholehearted support. And like Representative Mashinsky said, and I thank you for your hard work on this in the past. It was uncomfortable with the bottle bill when it first started. I remember them complaining because New York didn't have a bottle bill when Connecticut got the bottle bill first. And it was the same argument. People are going to come in from New York and they're going to bring their bottles over to Danbury and they're going to cash them in and it's going to be a cash cow. Well, it didn't happen. What happened? New York adapted a bottle bill because they saw how successful it is. And Connecticut, for once, instead of being the land of steady habits, was a trendsetter that got the rest of the states around to do so. So I think we should be a trendsetter again. We should expand this bottle bill. We should increase the cost. And I will wholeheartedly support this. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much, Representative Cooker. Now we have Representative Reyes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, good afternoon now to everybody. I rise in strong support of the bottle bill and the bottle bill expansion and everything it stands for. Representative Gucker did a nice job of summarizing what I had in my mind. It is a pollution nightmare to deal with this, items that I also pick up along my streets here in Waterbury. I do want to give credit to Representative Mashinsky, who I've talked to at length about this. And the one thing that we that I like to highlight on here is the redemption centers. I believe that it is long past time to throw them a lifeline and to continue to help them and to hopefully expand them. As we've heard from some of our constituents that some of these redemption centers were maybe a little bit out of the way. But I think that this is a step into helping to expand redemption centers and actually showing and advocating and actually voting and helping redemption centers that are still hanging on for dear life. So I see this as a good environmental bill. I see this as a good bill to help clean up the environment and to address the issue to some point. But more importantly, I see it as a huge help for the redemption center. And for that reason, and many others, as far as the environment is concerned, I support this bill and hope my colleagues will do the same to get it out of committee today and into the chambers for voting. So thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to those who have advocated on behalf of the bottle bill.
Thank you, Representative, and thank you for your advocacy. Representative Michelle, followed by Representative Berger-Javala.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wanted to thank Chair Gresco for his long work on this and all the other advocates. I also want to echo some of my good colleagues' words. And I also add to that I'm hoping that when we get an actual, money coming in city operations for this, that we bring back the jobs we lost with the pandemic in our recycling center, which is now not working at full capacity. So thank you again for all the good work on this, and looking forward to see it make it through all the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Berger-Javala.
I will be extremely brief. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just wanted to share a comment that I just got from a constituent who also happens to be a package store owner. He's grateful for the adjustments that we're making and has just wants to highlight that it, quote, truly hurts me knowing that literally everything I sell quickly turns into garbage. And I think that that's really important to understand, that even though we're not able to address wine and liquor bottles at the moment, there is an understanding that it is critical, and it is time to work on some sort of solution to that problem. So I just wanted to let you know that constituents are in support of what we're talking about. So thank you very much for all your work on this, and I will turn the floor back over.
Thank you so much for that comment and for the comment of your constituent. And I will just say we are addressing wine and liquor. It will not have a deposit, but hopeful that through the memorandum of agreement that we can get those glass bottles out of our waste stream and for reuse at a much lower tipping fee and a benefit to all of our municipalities. I think that's something that many of our taxpayers don't recognize because it, is sort of folded in. These waste costs are folded into budget line items, but tipping fees are on the rise, and they are reaching $100 a ton and costing municipalities and therefore our taxpayers a lot of money, and it's a significant burden. So we're hearing overwhelmingly from our municipalities that they're at a breaking point, and we must act now. And so I'm really pleased with the bill that was put together in front of us today with many of the stakeholders working together. It is not perfect for any one of the stakeholders, but it really gets us to where we need to be from an environmental standpoint and helps the taxpayers ultimately of Connecticut. And I think that's a really good thing. So I don't see any other hands raised. So with that, will the clerk please call the roll?
For Senate Bill 1037, LCO 6230, Senator Cohen,
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Representative Gresco,
Representative Gresco votes yes.
Senator Slapp,
Senator Slapp votes yes.
Representative Palm,
Rep. Palm votes yes.
Senator Minor, Representative Harding,
Representative Harding votes no.
Representative Berger Javallo,
Representative Berger Javallo votes yes.
Representative Betts, Representative Callahan,
Representative Callahan votes no.
Representative Chafee,
Representative Chafee votes yes.
Representative D'Amico,
Representative D'Amico votes yes.
Representative Dillon,
Representative Dillon votes yes.
Representative Dubitsky, Representative Fishbein, Representative Gucker,
Representative Gucker votes yes.
Representative Harrison,
Representative Harrison votes no.
Senator Haskell, Representative Hennessy,
Representative Hennessy votes yes.
Representative Horn,
Representative Horn votes yes.
Senator Kasser, Senator Kushner,
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Representative Michelle,
Representative Michelle votes yes.
Representative Mashinsky,
Representative votes yes.
Representative Mashinsky, can I hear you just one more time?
Representative votes yes.
Thank you. Representative O'Day,
Representative O'Day votes no.
Representative Parker,
Representative Parker votes yes.
Representative Piscopo,
Representative Piscopo votes no.
Representative Verbimbis,
Representative Rabimbus votes absolutely no.
Representative Reyes,
Representative Reyes votes yes.
Representative Ryan,
Representative Ryan votes yes.
Representative Smith,
Representative Smith votes yes.
Representative Wilson,
Representative Wilson votes no.
Representative Young.
Representative Young votes yes.
Thank you. That concludes the vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so we are moving on to number 4 under Roman numeral 3, Senate Bill number 930. And this is an act concerning food waste diversion and anaerobic digestion facilities. It is a JFS to the floor. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Representative Gresco. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Representative Gucker. So this bill, also in keeping with our attention to the issues being faced by municipalities in terms of cost of waste, and also keeping in mind the environmental considerations as waste seems to continuously be increasing. Recognizing that we have waste incineration plants such as Mira planned for shutdown. We no longer, thankfully, have landfills in the state. However, because of an increase in tipping fees, much of our waste is being diverted and exported to landfills out of state. And so at a lower cost at this point, which is truly problematic from an environmental standpoint. And so one of the things that we know is that food waste accounts for a significant portion of weight within our waste stream. We do have an anaerobic digestion facility, currently one in the state. There are several others that have been permitted, though they have not yet come to fruition. And so this is an act that will help to incentivize and educate on food waste diversion. something that we heard out of the group of municipalities, that CCSMM group run by DEEP, this was one of their recommendations, as was a modernization of the bottle bill, which we just heard, as was an EPR program, which we voted on Monday. So this bill in section 1 reduces the requirement beginning January 1st of 2022 of diverting the food waste of certain producers like commercial food wholesalers, distributors, industrial food manufacturers, supermarkets, resorts, and conference centers that are located within 20 miles of a composting facility. In this case, this is Quantum Biopower. It decreases the tonnage requirement from those that produce 52 tons per year to 26 tons of an annual average. It also requires DEEP by January 2022 to establish a voluntary pilot program for municipalities seeking to separate source-separated organic materials and have them recycled at an authorized source-separated organic material composting facility with the willingness and capacity to accept those materials. Section 2 is a composting outreach and education program requiring DEEP to develop such a program and help municipalities establish perhaps aerated, static composting facilities. As part of these efforts, DEEP would be required to explain potential fiscal and environmental benefits to static composting and how to obtain a permit. Section 3 goes into compost content regulations, allowing DEEP to adopt regs for these facilities, specs on the production and quality of these compost source separated organic materials. And section 4 is a solid waste facility permitting exception. It exempts solid waste facilities from needing to obtain a modification to their solid waste permit to accept certain food scraps and paper under certain conditions. This is really in particular to allow municipalities to have a food waste separation program in place and a pulping station, if you will, or some way to collect that waste prior to diversion to a bio plant such as Quantum Biopower. Are there any comments or discussion questions on this bill?
Let it go, man.
Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
For Senate Bill 930, LCO 6218, Senator Cohen,
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Representative Gresco,
Representative Gresco votes yes.
Senator Slapp,
Senator Slapp votes yes.
Representative Palm,
Representative Palm votes yes.
Senator Minor, Representative Harding,
Representative Harding votes yes.
Representative Berger Givallo,
Representative Berger Givallo votes yes.
Representative Betts, Representative Callahan, Representative Chafee,
Representative Chafee votes yes.
Representative D'Amico,
Representative D'Amico votes yes.
Representative Dillon, Representative Dubitsky, Representative Fishbein, Representative Gucker,
Representative Gucker votes yes.
Representative Harrison,
Representative Harrison votes yes.
Senator Haskell, Representative Hennessy,
Representative Hennessy votes yes.
Representative Horn,
Representative Horn votes yes.
Senator Kasser, Senator Kushner,
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Representative Michelle,
Representative Michelle votes yes.
Representative Mashinsky,
Krasinski votes yes.
Representative O'Day,
Representative O'Day votes yes.
Representative Parker,
Representative Parker votes yes.
Representative Piscopo,
Representative Piscopo votes yes.
Representative Rabimbis,
Representative Rabimbis votes yes.
Representative, oh, thank you. Representative Reyes,
Representative Reyes votes yes.
Representative Ryan, Representative Smith,
Representative Smith votes yes.
Representative Wilson,
Representative Wilson votes yes.
Representative Young,
Representative Young votes yes.
and then Representative Callahan.
Thank you, Madam Administrator. Representative Callahan votes yes.
Thank you.
Representative Dillon votes yes.
Thank you, Representative. And that concludes the vote.
Christine, you're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. Moving on to number 5 under Roman numeral 3, House Bill number 6503, an act concerning the siting of anaerobic digestion facilities on farms. It is a JFS to the floor. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Representative Gresco and seconded by Representative Pom. So this law helps our on-farm digesters, also incentivizes by making some changes to current statute in the hopes that more on-farm digesters will come to fruition. It requires now, well, doesn't require, it allows now up to 40% by volume to be food scraps, food processing residuals, and soils or unrecyclable paper. Previously, that number was 5%. As long as the feedstock for a anaerobic digestion facility is at least 50% by volume farm generated organic waste from an animal feeding operation. If DEEP determines that the anaerobic digestion facility is operating without a permit, but is not co-located with an animal feeding operation, or happens to be processing more than the required volume in food scraps, then that facility's operator must then apply for a DEEP permit for a solid waste facility. Are there any questions or comments on this legislation? All right, seeing none, will Madam Clerk please call the roll?
For House Bill 6503 LCO 6221, Senator Cohen,
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Representative Gresco,
Representative Gresco votes yes.
Senator Slapp,
Senator Slapp votes yes.
Representative Pom,
Rep Pom votes yes.
Senator Minor, Representative Harding,
Representative Harding votes yes.
Representative Berger Giravalo,
Representative Berger Giravalo votes yes.
Representative Betts, Representative Callahan,
Representative Callahan votes yes.
Representative Chafee, Representative Chafee, Representative D'Amico, Representative Dillon.
Dillon votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Dubitsky, Representative Fishbein, Representative Gucker,
Representative Gucker votes yes.
Representative Harrison,
Representative Harrison votes yes.
Senator Haskell, Representative Hennessy,
Representative Hennessy votes yes.
Representative Horn,
Representative Horn votes yes.
Senator Kasser, Senator Kushner,
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Representative Michelle,
Representative Michelle votes yes.
Representative Mashinsky,
Representative votes yes.
Representative Mashinsky, would you say that one more time?
Mashinsky- Sure. Representative Mashinsky votes yes.
Thank you. Representative O'Day,
Representative O'Day votes yes.
Representative Parker, Representative,
Representative Parker votes yes.
sorry about that. Representative Piscopo,
Representative Piscopo votes yes.
Representative Verbimbis, Representative Reyes,
Representative Reyes votes yes.
Representative Ryan, Representative Smith,
Representative Smith votes yes.
just need it one more time. Representative Smith.
Representative Smith votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Wilson,
Representative Wilson votes yes.
Representative Young,
Representative Young votes yes.
thank you. And that concludes the vote.
Can I record a vote, Madam Administrator?
I thought I had you.
Oh, maybe
Representative
I
Callahan.
thought we jumped on to the next one. Sorry, Madam
I don't have you.
Administrator.
Yes, you
You're-
are all set.
You're
Can I
very efficient.
record
Thanks.
my vote quickly?
Of course, Representative Chafee.
Representative Chafee votes yes.
Yes, and thank you for raising your hand. That helps me.
Thank you very
see
much.
you there. You're welcome. I see. Sorry, if I can just get one more. I just see that Representative Ryan had just entered the room, so I don't know if he can hear me. Oh, good.
Votes yes.
Thank you. If you wouldn't mind your camera off for a wee second there.
Yeah, that's the best part. Okay. Representative Ryan votes yes.
Thank you very much. That concludes the vote, Madam Chair.
Excuse me, could I cast my vote? It's Representative D'Amico.
Yes, Representative D'Amico.
So I'd like to be in the affirmative, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And again, just a reminder that we will be holding votes open for an hour after the conclusion of this meeting. And so I will announce that time once we finish up. For the last item under Roman numeral number 3, number 6, Senate Bill number 929, an act concerning penalties for the taking of striped bass. It is a JF to the floor. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Representative Gresco, seconded by Representative Hennessy. This is a straight JF. We heard a public hearing, particularly from the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, that in order to really enforce, we need to eliminate the enhanced penalties for violating the striped bass sports fishing regulations. This law makes it consistent with other sport fishing regulations, creating the same penalty. It makes the violation an infraction that is payable by mail. Are there any questions or any discussion? Yes, Representative Dillon.
Madam Chair, I believe this is the last item on the agenda, and I can't say strongly enough how impressive the testimony was on this particular bill. The passion and the knowledge of the people who took the time to come before us was just really, really gratifying. And I hope that this bill begins to fix the issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Callahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Representative Dillon on a lot of the times where there was fines for court dates for this. It's better to do it as a fine, and it's more efficient, and it's a good bill. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, Representative. All right, seeing no other questions from the committee, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
For Senate Bill 929, Senator Cohen,
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Representative Gresco,
Representative Gresco votes yes.
Senator Slapp?
Senator Slapp votes yes.
Senator Slapp, I just didn't get to see you on speaker view.
Sure. Senator Slapp votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Palm?
Rep. Palm votes yes.
Senator Minor? Representative Harding?
Representative Harding votes yes.
Representative Berger Javallo?
Representative Berger Javallo votes yes.
Representative Betts? Representative Callahan?
Representative Callahan votes yes.
Representative Chafee?
Representative Chafee votes yes.
Representative D'Amico? Representative Dillon?
Representative Dillon votes yes.
Representative Dubitsky? Representative Fishbein? Representative Gucker?
Representative Gucker votes yes.
Representative Harrison?
Representative Harrison votes yes.
Senator Haskell? Representative Hennessy?
Representative Hennessy votes yes.
Representative Horn?
Representative Horn votes yes.
If I could just have you do that one more time, Representative Horn.
No problem. Representative Horn votes yes.
Thank you. Senator Kasser? Senator Kushner?
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Representative Michelle?
Representative Michelle votes yes.
Representative Mashinsky?
Mashinsky votes yes.
Representative O'Day?
Representative O'Day votes yes.
Representative Parker?
Representative Parker votes yes.
Representative Piscopo?
Representative Piscopo votes yes.
Representative Rabimbis?
Representative Rabimbis votes yes.
If I could just have one more time, Representative Rabimbis for speaker view.
Sure. Representative Rabimbis votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Reyes?
Representative Reyes votes yes.
Representative Ryan?
Representative Ryan votes yes.
Representative Smith?
Representative Smith votes yes.
Representative Wilson?
Representative Wilson votes yes.
Representative Young?
Representative Young votes yes.
I just saw Representative D'Amico.
Yeah, thanks, Gaia. Yes, Representative D'Amico votes yes.
Thank you. That concludes the vote.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you to all of our committee members. This is our last meeting right before our JF deadline. We've been incredibly efficient. We should all be proud of ourselves. We've passed a wonderful book of bills out of the committee. I believe nearly 30 bills. I think it's 29 is our count. All of them that really serve the environment very well. Most of them in a bipartisan manner. And I'm just really thrilled with the work of this committee. I'm always sad to see the committee work come to an end for the session, but excited to continue our work and hopefully get these bills over the finish line in both chambers. So I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. We have had the added challenge of working virtually this session amidst a global pandemic. And I particularly want to thank our clerk of the committee, Gaia McDermott, who joined us this year and came in as if she's been working on this committee for many, many years. So appreciative of all of your hard work, Gaia. So thank you. Also just want to thank our LCO, Brad Towson, who has been working overtime, countless hours to provide his legal expertise and advice and craft these language changes for us, and has just been incredible throughout this process, again, with these added challenges of working virtually. So thank you so much, Brad. And I also just want to thank our members of the Office of Legislative Research, Kristen and Janet, who just do so much good work for us, and also working overtime all the time for us, getting us legislative reports and JF summaries. So grateful for their work. Marcy and OFA and others, also grateful. So just all the staff of the committee, also Steve and Erica, who have been working so hard on our public hearings and inputting testimony, and helping Gaia just with the administration of this committee. So thank you to each and every staff person who has just dedicated themselves to making sure that the session goes off without a hitch, despite all of the challenges. I just want to turn it over to my co-chair and see if he has any closing remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to echo your sentiments and thank the members who chose to serve on this committee. We appreciate all the work that you've done, and I would be remiss if I would like to say a special thank you to Mary Mashinsky for all the work that she's done for the environment over the years, and she really does provide an inspiration for us going forward. I want to thank my co-chair for her patience in having her House chair dropped in her lap kind of 2/3 of the way through the process. So she's been very patient with me. And same thing with Representative Palm, who is in the same position as I am in doing that. So thank you. And working with our ranking members, Representative Harding and Senator Minor, who we missed today. Hope everything is good. It was a pleasure, as always, to work with them going forward. And as far as the staff goes, yes, Kristen, Janet, Marcy, Steve, and Erica. But for me, also Chris Calabrese has helped me out immensely. And we appreciate all you've done. And on a personal note, also for me, is Representative D'Amico, who I've been able to bounce some ideas off of, being dropped into this halfway through. So he's been very good at coaching a newbie. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative, and you're certainly not giving yourself enough credit as Vice Chair of the committee for many years. You came in well seasoned, I should say, and I appreciate how seamless the transition has been. And I would think that the committee members would concur that it seemed to go very smoothly. And I agree, it has been an absolute pleasure to work with our ranking members, both Senator Minor and Representative Harding. Representative Harding, did you have any comments?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do want to just echo the comments or the sentiments that it's been a pleasure to work with yourself. It's a pleasure to work with Representative Gresco. And it was a pleasure to work with Representative Borer when she was chair. But I will say that, Representative Gresco, who took over quickly thereafter, did a very nice job, despite the fact that it was quick notice, and took over for Representative Borer and was able to take on the load of work that we were challenged with working with. So I want to congratulate him and thank both himself and Senator Cohen for your leadership on this committee and working together. I also want to thank Representative Palm and Senator Slapp and our vice chairs, and enjoyed working with them as well and getting to know them throughout the process, and working with them on these pieces of legislation going forward. Just want to echo the comments by both yourself, Madam Chair, and Representative Gresco in terms of all the staff that was involved. Thank you. You certainly make all of our lives as legislators immensely easier. You carry so much of a load in terms of research and reviewing legislation and helping all of us understand it to the point where we can conduct these meetings in a proper fashion. So thank you to all of them. I just want to thank some HRO staff and SRO staff for on Craig's behalf. Sean Cleary and Andrew Droney did a great job working with our caucuses this session, and want to thank both of them as well. And so I look forward to working together as we move all these pieces of legislation throughout the legislative process. As we talked about today, some of them are certainly works in progress as we move forward, but I have no doubt that we can work together in a bipartisan fashion and pass some good legislation moving forward. So thank you so much for the time and for your hard work this session.
Thank you, Representative. And I too would be remiss in not mentioning Teresa of SDO for all of her hard policy work as well. Representative Gresco, did you have another comment?
Yes, just to briefly, I'm not one to gush usually, but I have to at least acknowledge not only your great leadership, but I have to call out Brad Towson, because his institutional knowledge and his patience with us, and he's the go-to guy, and we really do appreciate everything you do, and we apologize that we kind of put you through the ringer sometimes, but we're going to work on improving that system going forward. But I just wanted to give you a shout out. Thank you.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Many people don't realize that we're getting language at 3 a.m. because of changes that we've requested, on a 9 p.m. conference call. And so just so appreciative of all of Brad's hard work, and, staffing in LCO has gotten a little bit short and tight, and, again, working with these challenges, new processes in place, it is very difficult and not an easy job, and so grateful for his hard work. So with that, it is just about 1 o'clock. I'm going to say we will leave the votes open until 2 p.m. today, if that works for our clerk. Does that sound good, Gaia?
Of course,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll leave the votes open until 2 p.m. And I will say, go forth and legislate with lots of environmental consideration as you do so. Thank you all. Our meeting is now in recess.
I'll take votes from, I have Senator Slapp and Representative Urbimbis, who only have 1 vote each. And if you're here for Senator Slapp.
Sure. Yep.
I have 6199.
Senator Slapp votes yes.
Okay. And then for Representative Urbimbis, 6503. I take it she's not here. Okay, so then I have.
I am sorry, Gaia,
of
my
course.
apologies.
No.
Representative
please.
Urbimbis votes yes.
Wonderful. So you're all set.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And then I have for Senator Minor, Representative Betts, Representative Dubitsky, Representative Fishbein, Senator Haskell, Senator Kasser, and Representative Reyes. Do I have any of those individuals here?
I'm here.
Representative Reyes. Okay. So let me get my pile here. So I have for 884 LCO 6199, Representative Reyes.
Representative Reyes votes yes.
And then for 6551,
Representative Reyes votes yes.
and then I have for 1037.
Representative Reyes votes yes.
Oh, good. I have you for that one. I apologize. I have you for the next one. I have you for the next one. And I have the next one. You're all set, Representative.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yes, ma'am.
So Gaia, now that we have a moment, are there any House members that need to vote that I can possibly text myself personally to get them to see where they are and to tell them it's 2 o'clock?
I just have I have our assistant clerk Steve Smith, I think, has reached out already to Representative Betts, Representative Dubitsky, and Representative Fishbein, and those are the only individuals I have.
Okay. You're on.
Thank you. Senator Minor, you'll connect with him. Gaia?
I will. I've already texted him and I gave him the link, so he should be on when he's able to.
I just wanted to check, did I make all the votes, Representative
You
Ryan?
did. You made all of them.
Thanks. I'll go back to public health. Bye.
Okay, sounds good. Bye. Yeah, and I'll reach out to the other legislators. They've been emailed, and I'll also make sure to text them as well.
Okay, and did anybody hear about, we're still on YouTube. Never mind.
We are.
Text you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Representative Dubitsky? Hello, Representative Betts. How are you?
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
I can now. I can't see you though. That's
Okay,
critical.
there we go. So on
Okay.
items one.
Well, let me just read out
uh,
I don't
yeah.
go by numbers. I have to read out the Senate, the bill number, which is Senate
Sure.
Bill 884.
No,
And then House Bill 6551.
no,
And then Senate Bill 1037.
no,
And then Senate Bill 930.
could you read the title of that for me?
Of course. 930 is an act concerning food waste diversion and anaerobic digestion facilities.
Okay, yes,
And then House Bill 6503.
yes,
And then Senate Bill 929.
and the title of that is?
Sure. The title of that bill is an act concerning penalties for the taking of striped bass.
Yes.
Wonderful, Representative. You're all set. Have a great day.
Thank you, you as well.
Okay.
Hello,
Hello there, Representative.
how are you
Dubitsky.
today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm getting a
I'm-
little bit of feedback. I'm not sure if there's another device on. I think it.
There
okay.
is actually, there's two other committees going on at the same time. I'll try to move a little bit. How's that?
That sounds great. It came back again, but we'll see. We'll see. If it does, maybe just the volume down would be fine. Okay, so Representative Dubitsky, I have Senate Bill 884.
Which is,
Senate Bill 884 is an act reducing transportation-related carbon emissions.
I'm a no.
And then House Bill 6551 LCO 6222.
Could you give me the title?
Exactly. It's an act concerning environmental air quality.
No.
And then I have Senate Bill 1037, an act concerning solid waste management, LCO 6230.
No.
Senate Bill 930, an act concerning food waste diversion and anaerobic digestion facilities.
I'm a yes.
And then House Bill 6503, an act concerning the siting of anaerobic digestion facilities on farms.
I'm a yes.
And then Senate Bill 929, an act concerning penalties for the taking of striped bass.
I'm a yes on that one as well.
Wonderful. You're all set.
Thank you.
Have a good
Yep.
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hi, Senator Kasser.
Hi. Sorry.
Hi.
I am here.
Yes, and I apologize. I got some of my order
No,
mixed
thank
up.
you
I
for
just-
texting me.
Of course. Let me just make sure I'm in the proper order. If you could just give me 1 minute. I just pulled some pages out of order, and I don't want to go out of order for you. Okay, here we go. So I can write out the title if you need me to, but I have the Senate bill numbers and the House bill numbers. So just
Do you
let me
mind
know.
reading the titles? Thank you.
No, of course not. I have Senate bill. You know what? Senator Haskell's coming in right now. Let's do this as a twofer.
Okay.
Okay. Hello there, Senator Haskell.
Hey, Guy, how are you?
Great. We're going to do these bills together with Senator Kasser. So I have Senate Bill 884, an act reducing transportation-related carbon emissions.
Senator Kasser
Haskell.
votes yes. Oh, sorry.
Senator Haskell votes yes.
Excellent. And then I have House Bill 6551, an act concerning environmental air quality. Senator Haskell? Oops,
Senator
you know what?
Haskell votes yes.
Yep, good. Thank you. And then Senator Kasser? Just combined your two
Senator
two
Kasser
names.
votes yes.
Thank you. And then I have Senate Bill 1037, an act concerning solid waste management. Senator Haskell
Senator Haskell votes yes.
and Senator Kasser.
Senator Kasser votes yes.
Wonderful. I have Senate Bill 930, an act concerning food waste diversion and anaerobic digestion facilities. Senator Haskell
Senator Haskell votes yes.
and Senator Kasser.
Senator Kasser votes yes.
Great. And then for House Bill 6503, an act concerning the siting of anaerobic digestion facilities on farms. I have Senator Haskell
Senator Haskell votes yes.
and Senator Kasser.
Senator Kasser votes yes.
All right. And then last but not least, I have Senate Bill 929, an act concerning penalties for the taking of striped bass. Senator Haskell
Senator Haskell votes yes.
and Senator Kasser.
Senator Kasser votes yes.
Great. All right. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank
That was
you.
easy.
You
Thank you
too.
so much, Gaia.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye, Will.
And I think I have Representative Fishbein, who just entered the room. Great to see you,
too.
Representative.
Nice to see you also. I hope you're gonna have a great Easter weekend or a great weekend. Just don't know.
I plan on having a nice weekend. So I think you voted for the first one, so we have that taken care of.
I voted
Um,
against the first one, but I voted on it. Yes. You said I voted for the first one. You give a no vote, right?
Yes, I do have you down as a no. So for House Bill 6551, which is an act concerning environmental air quality.
No.
Excellent. And then for Senate Bill 1037, an act concerning solid waste management.
No.
And then for Senate Bill 930, an act concerning food waste diversion and anaerobic digestion facilities.
Yes.
And then for House Bill 6503, an act concerning the siting of anaerobic digestion facilities on farms.
Yes.
And then the last one is Senate Bill 929, an act concerning the penalties for taking of striped bass.
Yes.
Great, you're all set.
Have a good one.
You too.
Hey, look at that.
there's- Hey there, Senator.
How are you?
So good to see you. I'm good. I'm very
Same here.
good. Good. So what would you like? Would you like me to read out the bill titles as well, Senator? or
Well,
do you want me-
I actually printed out the agenda
Okay, good.
uh,
So I'll just
earlier
do the-
before
Excellent.
life went kaflooey.
Before what?
Life went kaflooey. Not completely kaflooey, just
Yeah.
sideways.
Yeah.
So the
I'm
first
glad
one's Senate
you're
Bill
well.
884.
Yes.
So I'm a no on that.
Okay. And then 6551,
Yeah, I'm a no on that.
and then Senate Bill 1037,
No.
and then Senate Bill 930,
Yes.
and then House Bill 6503,
Yes.
and then Senate Bill 929.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I appreciate you hanging with it.
I appreciate you, Senator.
Margie, every once in a while, Margie will wake up with vertigo,
Oh,
and it varies between a couple days in the hospital and a couple of days in bed to, better than a half a day in bed. And it's kind of with a 2-story house and a lot of other lives that expect to be taken care of, it never comes at a good time. So anyway, she's doing better, but it's really, they don't even know what brings it on. So it's you don't die from it. It's just, you could die from it if you lose your balance and fall down the stairs, but she can't really even get around until it finally stops.
yeah.
So-
and alters your every moment, I would imagine.
Yeah, as she describes it, even with your eyes closed, it feels like everything is spinning. And so that's the only way she can ever get it to calm down, is to do it that way.
Senator, I will just remind you, we are still live on YouTube.
Great, thank you. So that's it.
Well, please send her my love and my blessings.
I will do that. Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
Have a good week. Bye.
Bye-bye.